Hello again, my lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. I apologize for the late upload today, but let's just say the last few days have been quite busy with a con crunch approaching. I will not make you wait any longer. Why don't we just dive in after you've grabbed yourself a drink, a snack, sat back and relaxed, or whatever else you were doing, and head into the video. For the next chapter of Avatar, The Legend of Percy, Trial by Fire, written by WardofWinters. Chapter 20. We visit the Garden Gnome Emporium. I hope you enjoy. Now, I loved knowing the gods were out there. It always gave me someone to mumble a prayer to, and obviously Triton was there too. I loved Triton, best brother ever. But it also gave me someone to gripe to when bad things happened. Now, a random example of such a time you'd gripe to the gods. I promise it's totally random. But consider if you were like walking away from a bus that was just attacked by terror sent by a god that was promptly blown up by lightning sent by another god. And it was raining on top of that. Well, you had a good case for griping at the gods. Some might think that was just bad luck, but luckily I knew it really was a personal gift from a few gods. Wasn't that nice of them? Which led to now, with the three of us walking along the shore of the New Jersey riverbank. It was muddy, smelled gross, and scattered with trash. I could hear some fish in the water chatting, and I really wanted to break open a sand dollar or something to improve the water. I was plenty close enough to the water. I could have just walked through the river. It might have even soothed the lingering burn on my skin, but I doubted my teammates would be happy with that plan, considering how the river looked. Grover was shivering and mumbling to himself with the occasional braying noise, his eyes darting every which way as he muttered things like, 3 kindly ones, and all 3 at once, and tin cans. Annabeth was tugging us along, insisting the farther we got, the better. She wasn't wrong, but I was also getting tired. "Do you guys have anything else on you?" I asked as we ducked under some low-hanging branches. We needed to review what we had post-explosion. "What? I still have my bag and my own money, but the money camp gave us was in your bag and most of our snacks were in Grover's. Plus, both of your guys' clothes." She huffed. "Well, maybe if you hadn't decided to jump into the fight." "I was not going to leave," I snapped. "Besides, it was your knife versus 3 Agiains with—" "Don't say their names," Grover moaned. "With whips," I continued. "They have loads more experience than you, with way more dangerous opponents. I wasn't about to let you guys get hurt or killed." "You didn't need to protect me, Percy. I would have been fine." "Sliced like sandwich bread," Grover put in, "but fine." "Shut up, goat boy," Annabeth grumbled, but she looked away with pursed lips all the same. Grover brayed mournfully. "Tin cans! A perfectly good bag of tin cans!" I sighed as the final remnants of the scorching sensation faded entirely from me. Probably the rain. I raised my hand to arc the rain over us, figuring they might enjoy a break from it. Annabeth blinked. How are you doing that?" "Rain is water," I pointed out. "It's not that hard." That was a bit of an understatement, of course. It took me ages sitting on my fire escape practicing. I only really mastered it while at Yancey. But that wasn't the point. Annabeth opened her mouth, then closed it, biting her lips. We trudged through the mud in silence for several minutes before she spoke again. Look, she faltered. I appreciate you coming back for us, okay? That was really brave. We're a team, right? She was silent again for a few steps. It's just that if you died, aside from the fact that it would really suck for you, it would mean the quest was over. This might be my only chance to see the real world. Yeah, I agreed with a slightly hysterical giggle. It kinda would suck for me. Grover winced. Her lips twitched up slightly. We were quiet once more, drifting further into the tree line. Where there was less mud, the storm began to let up after several more minutes of trudging through the forest, and I glanced over at her. I could barely see her in the dark that covered the area, only a gleam of her blonde hair visible. So, is this the first time you've left camp since you were 7? No. Only short field trips. My dad, the history professor. Yeah, it didn't work out for me living at home. I mean, Camp Half-Blood is my home. She was rushing her words now, as if afraid someone would interrupt. She was twisting her fingers rather harshly. At camp, you train and train and train, and that's all cool and everything, and the real world is where the monsters are. That's where you'll learn whether you are any good or not. I could almost hear the doubt in her voice. You're pretty good with your knife, I said gently. You think so? I nodded. You killed Miss Dots with it and the other Agiain, yes, I added teasingly. Now she'll be trying to kill the both of us. She snorted. You know, she said, maybe I should tell you something funny back on the bus. She was interrupted by a shrill toot toot toot, the sound of Grover's reed pipes when he just blew in them. Hey, my reed pipes still work, Grover cried. Now let me try Find the Path song. We'll get out of these woods really quick then. He played a quick tune I recognized from the music club. A warm wind swept over my skin, faint but clear. So he was doing magic. The path seemed more open, the darkness less oppressive, but otherwise nothing changed. I do have my veil with me. It's easy to fold, so it's in my pocket, and obviously my knife. What? I asked. You wanted to know what we had. I have my veil and my knife and my hat. I've got my reed pipes and one tin can, Grover added. I nodded. Well, it's better than nothing. We continued on, falling silent again as we followed the path Grover pointed out to us. I hoped he was good at that magic. I really wanted a rest. My shoulders were feeling a bit stiff, probably from all the exercise we'd just gotten. I tasted something faintly, something familiar. Annabeth breathed in and turned to look at something. I followed her gaze, yawning and shaking my head a bit. My head felt fuzzy, my ears buzzing. I really wanted to sleep. Maybe the place ahead would let us. There was a light there. Annabeth started heading that way, so I followed, catching the faint scent of food as we grew closer. It smelled amazing, and my stomach growled. I shook out my arms from the stiffness. Maybe I'd strained something, and licked my lips. The strange, familiar taste in my mouth grew stronger. Maybe it was from the food? Smell had something to do with taste, right? I was really hungry though, so food sounded like a great idea. My ears buzzed, exhaustion tugging at my eyes. It was an uncomfortable feeling. Hated when that happened. I shook my head, trying to get rid of the feel, and grimaced, rubbing my neck. Pontos, a nap sounded lovely right now. We ended up at a deserted 2-lane road across the street from a closed-down gas station, a tattered billboard for a 1990s movie, and one single open business. It wasn't fast food like I'd been expecting with the smell. Instead, it was a roadside curio shop, like the kind that sold lawn flamingos and wooden knickknacks. The main building was long. A long, low warehouse, surrounded by acres of statuary. I couldn't read the neon sign, though, and it was in cursive. "What the heck does that say?" I asked. "I don't know," Annabeth responded. Right, dyslexia was a thing for all half-bloods. Grover translated, "Auntie M's garden gnome emporium." Huh, I suppose that sounded kinda cool. And the 2 cement garden gnomes flanking the door did fit the name. They were little ugly bearded runts, smiling and waving like they were about to get their picture taken. I rubbed my shoulder, wincing at the stiff feeling. Maybe I needed to do stretches? I did them before and after running, but hadn't thought about it when fighting for my life. It wasn't painful, but was uncomfortable. "Well, we might as well get something to eat," Annabeth said. I considered the place, rubbing my eyes. The food did smell good, and I was hungry. This would be fine. Annabeth had her knife, and me, my trident and water skin if needed. If there was any creeps around, we could handle them. And what were the chances of trouble in the middle of nowhere like this? "Hey," Grover warmed. "The lights are on inside," Annabeth said. "Maybe it's open?" I nodded. We could get some food and maybe use their phone. We can call camp maybe." "Food," agreed Annabeth, strangely focused. I yawned, shaking my head once more, as my ears buzzed. I felt like my ears had just popped or something, buzzing right through my head. I tried to focus on what they were doing, pushing away the pounding in my head. There was something. "Are you too crazy?" Grover said. "This place is weird." Annabeth ignored him, starting forward, but something made me hesitate. I hesitated, Grover's words pinging off. Something. I wasn't sure what. Whatever it was, it didn't reveal itself then. Annabeth was very sensible. Grover had been a bit of a wreck at school, always finding trouble. If something was the matter, surely Annabeth would notice. So why did I feel like something was wrong? I was missing something. We moved through the forest of statues at the front, cement animals, cement children, even a cement satyr playing the pipes which gave Grover the creeps. I stared at it, a warm breeze ruffling my hair. "Blah!" Grover bleated. "Looks like my Uncle Ferdinand." I swallowed past a foreboding feeling as Grover shuffled. Looking everywhere, I pushed forward, following Annabeth, who'd continued on. I slowly stretched my arms, trying to loosen up a bit. We stopped at the warehouse door, a sign for a corn festival on it. How odd. Maybe a middle-of-nowhere thing? "Don't knock," Grover pleaded. "I smell monsters." Something stirred in my mind at that, something just out of reach. I was missing something important, something vital. "Your nose is clogged up from the Agiain," Annabeth told him. "All I smell are burgers. Aren't you hungry?" My stomach growled at the mention and I swallowed hard. I was hungry. Starving, really, and tired. I really just wanted to devour some food and drop in bed to sleep for a week. Meat, Grover said scornfully. I'm a vegetarian. I rolled my shoulders and lifted a foot in quick stretch. What was I missing? I shook my head again, trying to get my head to stop aching and buzzing. I'm not sure. Maybe Grover is right. We need food. You said it yourself, Percy. I bit my lip. We did need food. I was hungry, so was Annabeth, and I knew Grover was too. And a map would help too, but I fingered my trident charm. Well, if worse came to worst, surely we could handle it. Annabeth had trained for years, and Triton trained me himself. Let's just get in and get what we need. I compromised. We need food, maybe a map, and a quick call to camp if possible. Then we'll leave and find a place to sleep. Annabeth nodded. Yeah, sure, as long as we can eat. The agreement came just in time as the door before us creaked open and the owner stood before us. She was a tall, Middle Eastern woman, or well, I assumed so based on her long black dress and veiled head, like the Muslim woman that lived a few doors down from us at our apartment. It was very different from the veils at camp, covering her face and all. I wasn't sure what it was called, though. Her dark brown hands looked old, but well manicured and elegant. I imagine she'd be nice, like Mrs. Asma a few doors down. She always shared mahalap bread and Ali with Mom and I. I scratched my itchy arm, swiping at a mosquito. The taste in my mouth from earlier seemed to sharpen and I recognized it. Olive oil. I'd been coated in it earlier from the hat. That must have lingered more than I realized. Something gentle hummed in the space, making me relax. Children, it is too late to be out all alone. Where are your parents? Her voice had a faint accent. It reminded me of Mrs. Asma's voice. They're, Annabeth started to say. She shot me a look. We got in a wreck, I blurted. Oh dear, the woman said. Are you hurt? She leaned closer, seemingly checking us over. No, we're okay, I assured, shuffling my feet. My mom hit her head, though, and she's hurt. Me Dad went the other way to look for help and sent us this way. Is there anything I can do to help? Perhaps let you stay here until your father returns? I'm afraid there's nothing nearby that would get you help quickly. Thank you for the offer, Annabeth said with a bright smile. We were wondering if we could use your phone. Of course, dears. Come in. Oh, you poor children. I am Auntie M. She ushered us in. Go straight through to the back of the warehouse. There's a dining area. You can use the phone after eating. You must be starving walking all the way here. We thanked her and went inside. Annabeth murmured to me, You actually had a good idea. I raised an eyebrow. What, did you think my brain is full of kelp or something? The warehouse was filled with more statues, people in all different poses wearing all different outfits and with different expressions on their faces. You'd need a pretty big garden to have even one of those, because they were all life-sized. I wondered if she had any small ones. This was the kind of place I'd get a trinket for my mom or Triton, but everything here was too big. Annabeth steadied me as I stumbled, my legs a bit shaky. I'd have to do stretches before bed tonight, and maybe do them in the mornings, if fighting was gonna lead to stiffness like this. You okay? She asked. Just stiff, I assured her quickly. I noticed Grover's nervous whimpers and a faint click behind us. It was hard to think, tired as I was, and my head didn't feel any better, but I made sure to offer Grover a comforting smile. Hey, He looked at me as I spoke. It'll be okay. Auntie M seems nice. She'll let us use her phone to call, Uncle D about the crash. He nodded, looking at me nervously. Right. At the back of the warehouse was a dining area. The smell of fast food made sense now. It had a fast food counter with a grill, a soda fountain, a pretzel heater, and a nacho cheese dispenser. Basically all the best fast food stuff. In front of it were a few steel picnic tables. Please, sit down, Auntie M said as ushering us forward. Grover said reluctantly, We don't have any money, ma'am. No, children, no money. This is a special case, yes? It's my treat for such nice kids. Thank you, ma'am, Annabeth said. I murmured a thank you of my own. She nodded, though I couldn't see her face to see her expression. Quite all right, Annabeth, Perseus, she said. You children have such lovely eyes. I stiffened as she turned away. We hadn't introduced ourselves. Dread pulled in my stomach, and I had a sudden nasty feeling about the way my head was buzzing. I'd dealt with buzzing before. I just hadn't realized this was the same kind of buzzing. My gaze flicked around, trying to figure out who she was. She knew our names, so she couldn't be a normal mortal. That meant she was probably a terror. Statues filled the warehouse, offering us no clues. Statues. Cold trailed down my spine as I realized we were surrounded by statues. I was having a weird feeling. Maybe the stiffness wasn't a sign I needed to stretch before fights, but a sign of... I knew the story, of course. There was only one terror that was known for stone statues. By Hades. I'd literally argued about it with Annabeth just this morning. A Roman and a Greek version. One seemed loving, Medusa getting with her in a field of flowers, and she died so Perseus could save his mother. The Roman one was a bit mixed, but she was a mortal first, not like the Greek one, mortal and became a terror as punishment, or maybe as protection. Interpretation seemed mixed, but... A warehouse filled with life-sized statues, stiffness, a buzz, and odd knowledge of our names, plus Grover mentioned earlier. We ignored him, but... Auntie M. Auntie M. Medusa. She'd disappeared behind the snack counter and started cooking, which bought us some time. Grover looked at me in concern. I shot a look at Annabeth, but she was like I suspected I'd been before the realization hit me. Out of it, dazed and hungry. My stomach growled. Okay, I was still hungry, but could I push it away? I'd done it at school, and sure, the kid had been institutionalized, but that was more because she was freaking out, not because of the whole getting rid of the feeling. Probably. Auntie M, Medusa, returned as I started trying to push it away, shoving it as the blanket of buzzing and slowly pushing it from myself. I needed to focus on Annabeth, not me though. I swallowed back my panic as she placed food in front of us, a double cheeseburger, chocolate shake, and a large serving of fries. It looked delicious. I offered her a perfectly princely smile. Thank you. Grover poked at the fries. A warm sensation smoothed over my skin, making me hold back a frown. That's right. I'd felt that earlier too. It underlaid an itch I'd attributed to mosquitoes. Did that mean she wasn't a terror? Or maybe it meant she was good? I didn't know if there were different monsters or different myths. Were they only according to the latest myths or the oldest? Maybe she'd let us leave without attacking if we behaved. I took a deep breath and bit into a fry as she settled before us, lacing her fingers together. I took a bite of the cheeseburger. It was so good. I reached for my shake as well, Annabeth devouring her food beside me when I noticed something odd. It was like a curl of river water over my skin, pure and clean and soft, faint, but I know that feeling. I would know it anywhere and any time. I'd spent so much time in rivers. Is it to your liking? I jolted out of my thoughts at her question. Oh, yes, thank you, it's very good. I took another bite, hiding my reaction in the gentle curls of water. It seemed to originate from my head. I was wearing my hair tied up, with my hairpin in place. My hairpin that Triton had gifted me. It must have included magic in it. I hadn't known that. I would have to ask him about it later, though I wasn't sure what exactly it was doing. Triton wouldn't have given me anything harmful. What is that hissing noise? Grover asked. Hissing? Auntie M asked. Perhaps you hear the deep fryer oil. You have keen ears, Grover. I take vitamins for my ears. That's admirable, she said, but please relax. You've been through such an ordeal. Just eat and rest for now. I kept eating slowly, my gaze sliding to Annabeth, and I frowned. She looked sleepier than before, having already finished her burger and slowly picking at the fries and milkshake. Grover was also seeming a bit more tired than before, slowly relaxing from his paranoid tension. Auntie M ate nothing. She simply sat there and watched us. It was disconcerting, especially knowing that she was Medusa. Wait, were her sisters here too? So, I started, my smile back in place as I feigned casual interest. Do you make all these statues yourself? Were we going to face all 3 Gorgons or just one? Oh, yes, she said. I've been making them for a long time. I make most anything, really. People, animals, gnomes, custom orders as well. Wow, you must be very good. You make so many and so detailed. I used to have 2 sisters. They helped me with my business. Her tone took on a wistful note, head tilted up as if remembering a time long gone. But they have since passed, and Auntie M is all alone. I only have my statues. It's why I make them, you see. They are my company. I felt sympathy for her. She sounded very lonely. But it was also good news that she was alone. Her sisters being here would have been much worse if this turned to a fight. Annabeth stopped eating. She sat forward and said, 2 sisters. A terrible story, children. Auntie M, Medusa, said, I shouldn't tell children, really. But you see, a terrible man once attacked me in the home of a friend. The friend arrived too late to stop the cruel man, but she did set me up with this statue business to give me an escape, and I met my love here even, my dear Lara. I was happy until that friend helped someone to attack me. She turned her back on me. I was very hurt, and my sisters passed while I recovered, and my Lara, my sweet, sweet Lara. The attacker came when I was sleeping, and Lara tried to protect me. She did not survive the fight. Annabeth was slowly growing stiff through the story, her face paling. I'd never heard of Lara. She wasn't in any myth, I knew. Percy? Annabeth hissed. Maybe we should go. Your dad will be worried. I nodded, realizing she'd came back to herself. We needed to leave. Hanging out by a terror wasn't safe, and we'd eaten now. I sympathized with Medusa. She seemed lonely and had been kind to us, but, none of the terrors I'd met since the theft seemed very pleased to see me. Such lovely eyes you children have. She leaned forward, reaching out to Annabeth's face. My breath caught. It's been a long time since I've seen grey eyes like those. Annabeth nearly fell off her seat as she jolted back, and she stumbled to her feet and drew a knife. I paled as Medusa stilled, head tilting in a manner tugged at an instinct for danger. So quick to jump to violence, Medusa murmured. Heroes always lean towards violence. We're leaving, Annabeth said, her voice shaking, though her knife held steady. Come on, Percy, Grover. I stood wary of the shift in Medusa. We needed to get out. I had thought you better than your mother, Annabeth. And you look so much like... Medusa shook her head. What a shame. Alarm bells rang as she reached up, and I realized what was about to happen right before it did. Her hand reached up, and I realized a moment before it did. I look like... What? Annabeth started baffled, and I yanked her away behind the statue and low to the ground. Hissing filled the air. Come now, children, there's no need to hide. Come stand before me and accept your fate. It is quick and painless, merciful truly, compared to the fate of a hero bears. No thanks, I called, but thank you for the offer. Annabeth put on her hat, disappearing. That's Medusa, Percy, she hissed. I know, I whispered back. Do you think the gods will offer you kindness? Medusa wondered. They are fickle beings. Their favor will shift from you in an instant. I was assaulted in my goddess's own temple. My father declared it to be. I was turned into this monstrous form for my own protection, and yet, despite the mercy she displayed prior, my goddess betrayed me. She was the one who supplied and aided the hero sent to kill me, told him how, and ensured he could. I'm sorry, I called back. I tried to slip closer. Following the way, my joints stiffened. The place of the olive oil in my mouth grew strong. You were killed in your sleep, and it's not right. It isn't, child. It most certainly isn't. Don't be fooled, Annabeth cried out. Perseus may have killed her in her sleep, but he only went after her to save his own mother. And I deserve the death for the crimes of another? Medusa snarled. Hisses coiled through the air, her shoes soft as she walked closer. Did you know my darling Lara was also a child of Poseidon? She was left to die by her home, her protectors, even her own father, simply because she was blind. I faltered. What was she talking about? Grover yelled fiercely, and I heard another snarl from Medusa. I risked a peek over the statues, looking low. Statue pieces bounced on the ground, and when I chanced a glance high, I saw him, flying with the shoes, throwing pieces of statues. Was that like throwing someone's missing limb at her? It just goes to tell you that your father doesn't care for you, she called. I frowned. I wasn't sure about my father, my Metua. He'd avoided me all my life, and yet, the moment I was known, I had terrors coming out of the woodwork. Multiple gods were striking at me personally. Perhaps he had been right to avoid me. Medusa's head swung around and I hid once more. Athena would betray anyone in a second if it befitted her. I am not the only one who has suffered her capricious nature. I didn't know Athena personally, but I knew she was viewed with wariness at best in the sea, reviled in some cases for killing Pallas. But the details, Triton didn't speak of them. The gods are cruel, children. Grover squeaked and I heard something crash. I slunk further behind some statues, fear crawling up my throat. I should have been aiming for the door, but I had no idea where it was. I didn't even know where Annabeth was now, invisible as she was. Hopefully Grover was okay. I rubbed my throat, my breath catching and my head spinning. The air was too dry, my chest bubbling with ocean water. Enough! Annabeth snapped. My mom is the patron of heroes, the defender of cities. She's Athena Ambulia, the layer of death, and she delayed yours. But a hero was in need, someone trying to save his mother. Of course she would help him. The gods are good. They help people. Your death wasn't even permanent. You should be thanking her. A crash sounded. Annabeth cried out, and I heard Medusa laugh. You've been tricked, Medusa declared as I peeked my gaze around once more. A tune hummed in my chest through my ears. Annabeth was visible again, her head on the ground, along with her knife. Her arm dripped red, her hand covering a large gash as she stumbled away from Medusa, with eyes squeezed tightly shut. Medusa raised a hand, claws gleaming bronze. You believe your mother cares, Medusa laughed. Well, why don't we find out? Will she mourn you, do you think? And she took a step forward, ready to lunge. My lungs bubbled, my breath screamed. No! Stop! I called. I breathed. I sang. The room froze, even the air conditioning stilling. A song I couldn't name threaded through my ears, twined in my chest, echoing with every breath as I breathed. The ocean called to me, bubbled up and up and up, and spilled out of my lips as I opened them. The gods can be cruel, I said, stepping forward carefully, as the song bubbled and burned in my lungs. Of course they can. Nature and life can be, and they are those things, but that isn't an excuse for you to hurt others. I swallowed down the bubbling water and the song stuttered, my chest shuddering as I begged the song to return, allowing the ocean to rise up and unfurl within me. I was too small, too human. I couldn't contain it as it spread and spread and spread. But I needed it. I needed the song to weave through my words. You're the one attacking innocent people, as if you weren't once viewed as a symbol of protection, which stood over doors and warded off evil. My breath stuttered and my vision swam. I grabbed the statue to steady myself. The song fractured, cutting like ice in my chest. I clung to those shards and tried to push them up as the ocean had. Why do you attack others now? I asked, begged of her. My voice broke with a gasp. Why wouldn't you use these powers given to you to help others? I tried to stand straight, my vision blurred and blackened. It was better for your lungs to stand straight. My lungs burned and stretched thin, around the ocean surging through me. I couldn't breathe. The ocean was too much. It wasn't oxygen-rich water, but rather a deep depth that pressed within me. A song that was sung millennial ago and wound through me now. Attacking us. It just supports those who would. They'd call you a monster. But you're a victim. Why? You didn't go after others. I dragged in a weak breath, my lungs shaking. The ever-expanding ocean within me gave my voice strength, but it stole the breath from me. You didn't deserve it. It was wrong. But we do not deserve to be killed because you're mad at our parents. I gasped as my lungs seemed to. I slumped against the statue as my lungs fluttered weakly. The song collapsing inward, it coiled tight in my chest, a bundle that buried deep and deeper, and my lungs shook and shuddered in the absence of the ocean. It's not right. My hands shook, my lips tingled. I felt dizzy. The air was silent, my lungs empty of ocean and filled with pain. I didn't know the tune that had woven through me, couldn't name it, couldn't repeat it, but I missed it all the same. You have a way with words, Perseus Jackson. I took a moment to register that. A way with words? I didn't think I was very clear. I squinted, trying to steady my vision and body. I coughed, shaking my form and tearing from my chest. My head was stuffed with cotton. Helping people with my power, she mused softly, her voice growing closer. You suggest attacking others. I swallowed, trying to clear my throat, trying to bring my lungs to steady just a little. I drew on my own voice, straightening with shaky legs. I kept my eyes on the statue I was against. I'm not saying attack, but to rescue. There are people they're hurt, they're trapped. You could rescue them. The men and women hurting. There are children and spouses. They can't escape alone. There's no proof, but you could. Annabeth said nothing. I hoped she was okay. Grover made a whimpering noise. An interesting idea, Medusa mused, her feet just in front of me. Helping others to avoid what I might have. You seem to speak from experience? No, don't know. What you mean? I muttered. You are interestingly protected. A hearth of your own and another that welcomes you. I didn't dare move. Very well, she said. I will allow you to leave, children. What? Blurted Annabeth. Well, perhaps I overreacted. You are children, scared little things. And the two of you remind me of Lara. Killing you would be a disservice to her memory. You spoke well, and have given me a lot to consider. I licked my lips. Thank you, for your mercy. She moved away. I will let you go. Leave now, before I change my mind. I stumbled away, reaching Annabeth quickly, though hitting several statues along the way. Annabeth was clutching her bleeding arm, but held her cap in hand once more. Grover hurried us both to the door and half dragging me. And children, we paused. You'd do well to remember the gods are not kind. They will never care for you as their children. We left the building, moving into the woods once more. Annabeth scowled at Medusa's last comment, her hand still clutching her arm. I stumbled into her, Grover steadying me. My lungs fluttered and I let out a vicious coughing fit. It shook my body, leaving me bent over and desperately trying to catch my breath, but every breath was tight, too tight. It burned and the world spun and... "What was that, Percy?" Grover cried. I don't." Annabeth stepped closer, blood staining her form. "What's the matter? What happened? I can't breathe." Grover squeaked. Wait, your lips are turning blue. Sit down, take deep, even breaths. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold in 7, out 8. Come on, I'll count in 1, 2, 3, 4. I tried to follow his instructions, tried to count the breaths, but I was reduced to gasping each time. I couldn't get enough air. Annabeth was rubbing my back, murmuring reassurances. I wondered if I was bloody now, too. My head was fuzzy, my fingers tingling oddly. Grover managed to get me to pull my medkit out, helping me find it with the world tumbling around me. He helped me sip a bit of ambrosia and kept walking me through the breathing exercise he had, telling me to act like I was breathing through a straw, steady each breath. Slow, bit by bit, it became easier to breathe. My lungs still ached, each breath rubbing at my throat. I was shaky and my head pounded and I wanted to pass out, but I could breathe again. "Do you know what that was?" Annabeth asked after I'd stopped gasping and was up to shaky but steady breaths. "You just said stop and suddenly it was like I couldn't. I had to listen to you." I thought of the song twining through me, in me, filling my lungs to bursting and powering my voice. I thought of the warnings I was given, how the song was too much, too strong, could kill if you weren't ready. Had I managed to? I was only on the ocarina. I hadn't even begun proper education in the song. I knew it was dangerous. Triton told me. Fetu told me. Lagi gave me a medical lecture on it. I hadn't realized just how great it was, though. How much it could tear at you. Had I managed it? I would have to be careful. Triton said it was hard to turn off once you used it, but it seemed to have run out on its own, even if it was curled deep within me, a small spiral that I daren't poke at. "Percy?" I jolted at my name, blinking up at Annabeth and Grover. They both looked worried, which was fair. I felt like passing out. I think... I paused to breathe. I think I did the siren song. Okeanos' point of view. Poseidon scowled at me, immediately bristling in a familiar manner. "How many times do we have to tell you? You can't have Triton. He is my son." Triton shook his head with a sigh, looking ready to ride out the current custody battle. I resisted to roll my eyes. Rest assured, Poseidon. This time I don't want your heir. I'm speaking of the little half-blood, Percy Jackson. I have decided to adopt him, and I am offering you the courtesy of informing you. Thetis shot me a look. "I'll give you a sea serpent for him," I added. Poseidon's eye twitched, and Triton did a double take before narrowing his eyes. Amphitrite, my dear granddaughter, gaped at me. What? Poseidon spluttered. That's my son! You can't take him! I waved a hand dismissively. You didn't teach this one, or even keep an eye on him. He didn't even know about his parentage until last week. That is not that unusual, Poseidon snapped. Many of my children don't know their parentage until they're older, for their protection, or because their mortal parent wills it. Triton dipped his head, lips twitching. He leveled a confused look at me. Had I let slip too much information? And it was for his safety that I stayed away, Poseidon continued. I raised an eyebrow. You kept one of your children ignorant, but more importantly the rest of the sea ignorant for his safety. Amphitrite pursed her lips. Neither her nor Triton dared to interrupt. You are aware of the oath, yes? Zeus would have struck him down in a heartbeat if he'd known. Just look at what he did to Hades' children after the oath was made, and Hades would have sent all manner of threats after Perseus. I saw what he did to Zeus's daughter. I wasn't putting Perseus at risk like that. Okay, that was a fairly valid reason. Did you truly believe that the sea would betray your child? That any being of the sea would hand off a child to the Sky Lord? Poseidon leveled a look at me. Ryujin would do so happily. Setna would do if asked, and Pariakaka was never the most fond of me either. I frowned. They may dislike you, but they wouldn't endanger a child like that, nor risk war. You've always been fierce in avenging your children. At the very least, you could have informed the rulers of the sea. I just explained why I didn't. Poseidon snapped. I wasn't leaving anything up to chance with Perseus' safety. Well, how I read the situation is that he's free game for anyone to claim as a child, because he's not been raised as a prince. He could be. As such, he shall now be my youngest child. You will not take my son. So he wanted to do this the fun way. How delightful. Thetis shot me a look, knowing me oh so well. I did agree to this, so it was only right to keep to that. But if he failed, I was keeping Percy. He would only get one chance, though. I flashed a sharp smile. You want to keep your child? I am keeping my child. That is not up to debate, Okeanos. He was gripping his glowing trident. How quaint. Prove then that he is your prince, I purred, issuing a challenge that I knew would not be easy to fulfill. Show the sea that you not only acknowledge him as your child, but as a prince of the sea. A true announcement with a banding to the point that he is acknowledged in all the sea as one of your royal children. You've made no announcement of him being even born. So now if you wish to prove that he is yours, you'll have to acknowledge him as far more than just a Rakil of the sea. Poseidon bristled, his glower fierce, though I didn't acknowledge it. Prove it to all that he is unequivocally your child, or he shall be mine. Triton's gaze was flickering between us like a puffer-fin match. Poseidon slowly loosened his grip on the trident, eyes like ice. He is my son, my Tamatu. I have no issue claiming him as one of my Aipri. I tilted my head. Then do so. By the winter solstice, Thetis added, if it is known through all the kingdoms in the way your other royal children are known, then we will consider him yours and cease trying to take him as ours. As our child, at least, I muttered. I was keeping him regardless. He'd shown great potential, was a child, and Thetis quite liked him. If he couldn't be our child, then I would take him as a grandchild. Or great-grandchild, whatever. Amphitrite was his stepmother, and that was close enough. Very well, Poseidon bit out, then it shall be known. The sea shall know that Perseus Jackson, my Tamatu, is one of Atlantis' treasured princes and one of my precious sons. Oh, I adored that last part. And I also, Percy getting to sing the siren song. Let's hope nothing too bad happens. Let's hope he doesn't have to do that again. Without further ado, how about we go to the translations and terminologies? For the Halmaheran we have Metua, as always, for father, Tamatu, meaning son, Percy for Percy, and Percy Jackson for Percy Jackson. Terminology-wise, we have the Erinyes, the Greek name of the Furies, Lara, who is an author's own addition to the myth, which we will learn about more. Then we have Ryujin, the Japanese god of the ocean, Setna, the Inuit goddess of the ocean and ocean animals, and Pariakaka, the Incan god of war and rainstorms. I really hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to get yourself hydrated because, in the words of Red Overlord and Eleanor Elizabeth and many others among our community, hydrate, don't dihydrate. With that, it's Tilir clocking out. Bye-bye.